everyone, welcome back to Angie in Real Time. If this is your first time here, my name is Angie, and usually I do theme parks, travel, food vlogs, all kinds of fun things, roadside attractions. Coming up this year, we're going to be going to Tokyo, Japan, so if you're into any of that, keep watching, subscribe, and like. Thank you so much. But today, I'm here to talk about something a little more serious. So, if you are not into like medical conditions or easily bothered, by any of that kind of stuff, if you're a kid, please turn this off now. And I will have more content coming up. We're going to possibly at Comic-Con this weekend and to a Dungeons and Dragons museum. So check out that stuff coming up too. So I'll give you a second right now to turn this off. If you are watching and you're squeamish or anything of those sorts, I'm sorry. I'm posting this one. I'm just want people, for myself to talk about what I have been going through for the past 7 months, and then also other people that may be going through it and feel really alone because this is a super rare condition. So bye-bye for all now, and then we will get into what we're talking about now. So, anyways, we are having a snowstorm here. I'll turn that around right now for everyone to log on. Here's our giant snowstorm in our backyard. Okay, everyone, so grab a cup of something. I got some hot chocolate here. Cozy up, and I don't know if you're in somewhere warm, I'm jealous. So, anyway, so this is about to get kind of serious. Like I said before, I feel like I'm ready to finally talk about this. I wasn't going to talk about it. I just, my close friends and family knew about it. And honestly, it's been, annoying for them to listen to, probably annoying for me to explain constantly. I know anyone that's going through this probably understands the same thing. Like, it's just, you don't know what's happening, and it's really scary and frightening. So, and you're just trying to get an answer, any answer. And what I've kind of noticed with Western medicine at this point is sometimes there's not answers to everything. I'm sure all of you guys know this already. I'm 39, gonna be 40, but you start to learn certain lessons at different times in your life. So, anyways, I wanted to tell you guys today about my story with getting pretty severely ill, and then now with having what is called benign fasciculation syndrome. So if anyone else is going through this, also please feel free to ask me any questions about it in the comments or message me. Tell me your story. I want to hear your stories. Yeah, because, people, we tend to keep things quiet. I was kind of embarrassed to talk about this without, besides my close friends and family, and they're sick of hearing about it, I'm sure. My doctors, it becomes a big thing. So, yeah, I'm here. You guys are not alone, okay? I'm here to listen to you. I want to talk to you guys, so message me. Message me on YouTube, Facebook. I have a Facebook and a YouTube, so wherever you find me. I want to hear your story. I want others to connect through this too. But anyways, let's get to the point. So, I've got a couple notes kind of because, it's a really long story, and as time gets away with you, you start to forget. So I needed to write notes, and kind of, I'm really bad at telling the timeline of things. So if I'm kind of looking up and down, it's just because I'm referencing my notes. So 7 months ago, my story begins with benign fasciculation syndrome. I did not know what that was until about, I believe it was September. And I'll get to that in a little bit. But anyways, there's many things I realized that you don't have answers to, and Western medicine has no answers to either. So eventually too, I think I'm gonna get to the end of my whole story and where I'm currently at towards the end. But I know a lot of people have told me go see a integrative medicine doctor, and that's still on my list of things to do. I just am trying to, you know, obviously like watch labs over time and see what happens. So anyways, first I'm going to go over for anyone that is watching this still, that's a regular watching my channel and you didn't find this through, you know, like searching benign fasciculation syndrome or whatever, what benign fasciculation syndrome is, because I had no clue. So didn't even know it existed. So it is continual muscle twitching. Fasciculations, I found out, equals twitching. So it's the same word for the same thing. And it's a continual muscle twitching anywhere on your body with no underlying medical condition. So the twitches are annoying, very, very annoying. And that's what's like the hardest thing about this is you're feeling it like hundreds and thousands of times a day, depending on the day. And sometimes you can see them too. In a few minutes, I'm gonna stop this video and I'm gonna insert in my videos of my leg twitching. So I've got one there, and I think I've got one of my like foot twitching also too, so you can see what it looks like when it's visual. Anyway, so it's happening, like it happens hundreds and thousands times a day. When I'm sleeping in the middle of the night, so it'd wake me up sometimes. Just really, really annoying, but I found out later it's harmless and it doesn't hurt you and it doesn't lead to any other conditions or anything else. So, it is rare too, but the more I've kind of talked to people about it, I've heard there's tons of people with it. So let me know if you've got it. There are no treatments for it. I am receiving some treatments and some like, other, you know, like holistic things I'm doing, I'll get into later too, that are helping me. But there was one, I'm getting ahead of myself, I'll just start telling the story, but there is one point in time during this journey of 7 months when they have let up a little, and I don't know what it came from. There's two possible scenarios. So let me know if you experienced any of these two things later. I'll tell you about that later too. So the other thing with this too is there's several possible causes. A lot of people get twitches like in your eye. I mean, I know I've gotten that before from like sleep deprivation, caffeine, you know, but this is continual muscle twitching all over your body. So it can be in your, I personally, I'll just tell you my story. Like I have it in my calves, my thighs, my shoulder, my jaw. Some people I've heard had it in their tongue. I haven't had that yet. I had it on the top of my head too. I have not had it in my hands or my feet. And then I also have it in my belly too. So I'm going to stop this right now and I'm going to show you the video and insert that now. Okay.
I lost my...
All right, so hopefully you watched the whole video through because you can see it after, it's like, I think 5 or 10 seconds, it starts showing up. So anyway, so, you know, you're twitching like hundreds and thousands of times a day. Sometimes you can visually see it, sometimes you can't, but you can feel it, and it's really annoying. It's very disturbing. Yeah, it's everywhere. So, anyway, so I'm going to tell you how this all started so that, you know, maybe you had the same experience, maybe yours started a different way. I want to know, tell me. And then hopefully my story, because I haven't found anything about this on YouTube. I've seen a ton of stuff on Reddit, and you know, you don't know, like, sorry, what's real on Reddit or what's not, or what's going on, or what caused the actual benign fasciculation syndrome. So that's why I'm sharing this on YouTube too, so that you guys can know. But let's get to the point. So anyways, the other thing with benign fasciculation syndrome is it can be caused by, I guess, according to my doctors, it can be caused by stress. I would guess, you know, mental or physical stress, extreme caffeine usage, lack of sleep, and viruses, which is my situation. And then there's a couple other like reasons too. I don't know everything about it yet still. So what does happen though is, which I'll talk about later, is there's another very, very, very serious terminal illness, Lou Gehrig's disease, or ALS. And that is the one thing I was tested for. Later I'll get into. But a lot of people are extremely concerned, and my doctor was the first one that brought this up, and it never even crossed my mind, is ALS also starts with twitching, okay? So what happens is not only, in my case, did a virus cause it, but it also got where I was anxiety ridden because I was worried and worried and worried. You know, she said that ALS starts with twitching in all of your body because basically, I guess, I'm not a doctor too, so anyone, you know, I'm like, this is no medical advice. Please be aware that this is just me telling my story for people to experience and for me to get off my back. So it starts with the motor neurons are dying in your muscle. Okay, so that's what the twitching is for ALS. In benign fasciculation syndrome, you have no underlying disease. Your muscles are strong still. I've heard some people with benign fasciculation have muscle weakness too. So I don't have that situation. Let me know if you have that. So what happens then is the stress of it possibly becoming ALS and the virus compound, and it keeps going, you know, like a hamster wheel cycle. And so because you're stressed, you keep twitching, and because of the virus, you keep twitching. So when you get the stress under control, sometimes it can ease up a little, but mine has eased up a little, but it's still there and it's lighter. So, but some people, it's not even, you know, stress induced, it's virus induced or whatever else caused it, and it doesn't ease up. So, and I've read people, you know, have it for 10 years or more. So, anyways, so mine, I'm going to just tell you the whole story of everything that it possibly could have been. I have no, like, sorry, I'm just trying to organize all my thoughts. I have no, medical reason for it, but I'm going to tell you what happened to me right before. At the end of May, my kids go to school in like the woods. So every day after school, they wanted to go play in the woods. And so I'd sit on a bench under a tree and read a book. I am in the Midwest, so we are a hot zone for ticks. So I would sit under this tree and I would read my books while my kids played after school. And it was the end of the school year, and our school, we have like a ton of activities after school and things and commitments that you need to go to, and it's fun for the kids. And so I was just super busy, super busy. And one day I was taking a shower and I noticed on my chest right here, I had a big giant rash. At first I thought, you know, it was like, and I'm sorry if anyone's squeamish, you can end now too. There's gonna be a lot of things like, you know, bodily things that maybe no one wants to hear about. Okay, but it's all part of it. So, and I've been really embarrassed to like tell this, but I think we need, you know, as humans, we're storytellers, and I think that we need to share our experiences so other people don't feel alone, and we, you know, continue on and have, you know, a verbal story for other people to know and tell, for lack of better words. Anyways, so I'm taking a shower one day, I noticed this big red thing on me, and it didn't, you know, I'm very aware of the bullseye rash for ticks, and it didn't quite look like that. It looked like, you know, maybe I was getting a zit or something, but I don't generally, I mean, I know I have a big zit on my face right now, everyone hide. But I don't generally get like body zits or anything. So that was like kind of baffling to me, but I was like, whatever, you know, like move on with your life. I'm so busy, I don't care about this right now. So I come back like a week later, this thing's still there and it's getting like bigger. So I would say maybe it was like 1 1.5 inches wide and a big oval. So the next thing I started thinking about is I was like, you know, maybe this is like some infection, but I was like, how did I get an infection, you know? So I was just busy again. So I put like rubbing alcohol on it, antibiotic ointment, kept doing that. Still there. Okay. Now I was just busy and I'm like, I don't have time for this. Like it's going to go away, you know? It did start getting smaller and lighter. So then, so that was always kind of in the back of my mind, but I was just busy and I didn't think anything of it. So I moved on with my life. Then, so that was end of May, sorry. And then end of June, my husband came down with some virus and it was like really, really bad sore throat. He didn't get it as bad as me. But yeah, so I got this horrible virus and it was like this horrible, horrible sore throat. And I was like, this is like strep. So, my kids didn't get it though. It's just me and my husband. So that was what was interesting about it too. So I started getting like sicker and sicker and, like a cough, and I have asthma too. So every time I get, any virus, it instantly goes to my lungs and I need, you know, albuterol, all those things. So, I went to the urgent care. And they're like, I just think you have a virus. They did the 4-plex. So that's the test for COVID, flu, RSV. I don't know what the other one is. I was negative for all of them. So anyway, she's like, I think you just have some kind of cold or virus, you know. They did not strep test me, okay? But, you know, I think, you know, I'm not the doctor. I don't know. I don't think they did anything wrong through any of this. I'm just like recounting the story and the things that I thought about later. So what I would guess is strep was not going around in the community, so it wasn't necessary to test. I don't even think it was strep still. Around this time, I started noticing on the news, Facebook, all these things that there was a COVID variant going around. I'm sure you guys all remember this from last summer. It was like called like the razor blade COVID, okay? So I don't know, but I didn't have COVID, okay? So according to this 4-plex test. But later on, after I went to the ER a couple times, the ER doctor did say that the new strain of COVID that was going around that summer was not on the 4-plex test, okay? So it wasn't part of it. It was like the new, you know, influenza that was going around this year that wasn't on the flu shot. So, also too, like I am not in any way telling any medical beliefs. Like I'm gonna tell you what I do. That's okay. If it's not what you do, we can all live together in happiness, okay? So this isn't about like, you know, whether or not I get vaccinated or you get vaccinated or I take medicine, you don't take medicine. I'm not trying to push any of that stuff. I'm just telling you my story. So, anyway, so I get sick. I go back to urgent care for a second time because I am just like getting bad, and I was like getting where I was like really pale, and like, you know, like I was really starting to feel, and not sick, like ill. So they gave me an antibiotic. Sorry, I forgot to say too, the first time I went, they did give me prednisone for my lungs, okay, because I was wheezing really bad. So I took the prednisone, went back again. I think this was a week later. And then, you know, I was just starting to feel ill, so they gave me an antibiotic. I was pneumonia free. They did a chest x-ray, and so I got a Z-Pack. So I'm just like duking this out still while at a Z-Pack. In the meantime, I'm like sleeping all day. It's horrible. Like I am not someone that likes to sit around. I am go, go, go. So this was getting kind of long. I was like, this is, those like long flus or COVIDs where you're like, oh, this is going on like 2 weeks. This should be ending soon. So I was just trying to duke it out through this Z-Pack. Because I know with the Z-Pack, I had been told before, sometimes it doesn't start working until, you're almost done with it. So I was just like trying to wait. I was like feeling iller and iller, and I was getting paler and paler. And I was starting to feel like what I had friends that had sepsis before, and that's the only way I can describe it, is I started to feel like I was like becoming septic. I had a low fever, but I don't get fevers either too. So I don't know, I wasn't septic. So, but I felt like, if that's the only way I can describe it, is I was just like really ill inside. So, after the Z-Pak and the prednisone, I went back because I kept getting worse. And so, and now I'll explain, this was like the event change, I guess. So one day I just was like walking around my house. I felt like I was getting to the point where I'm like, this is going on too long. Like I have to get up and I'm gonna like clean something. Do you know what I mean? Like, so I was like kind of doing some stuff around, and I got like extremely dizzy. I was about to fall on the floor. I was like going for my clothes because I was like, if I have to call an ambulance, I think I was still in my like workout clothes or my pajamas, and I was like, if the ambulance is coming, I'm gonna have some clothes on. So I went to go grab my clothes, and I was about to pass out and call 911, and I like kind of like snapped out of it, and I just kept like, it was so dizzy and so dizzy. Now this is, if you are squeamish, this is where you need to like turn this off, because I'm going to give some more details, because this is really important to the story about how things kind of changed now. So then after that, I got really dizzy, and I was like laying down. I'm like, oh, this is going to go on. But the dizziness went on for almost 2 days. Okay. And I started getting this horrific dry mouth. I was not dehydrated. I was pushing Gatorade, tons of electrolytes, water, all of the above. Hold on one second, my dog. So I just wanted to tell anyone too, I'm sorry if you just wanted to hear about the benign fasciculation syndrome and this is getting too long, but I just wanted to tell everyone how this happened, because everyone's experience of how they got it. I've heard people like get it from like, they think from the tetanus shot. I did have a tetanus shot before this, so I don't know if it was a perfect storm. I had that at the beginning of May. I had possible encounter with the tick end of May, and then some virus, possibly 2 viruses, June to July. Okay, so that's that story. So I don't know if like my body just couldn't handle all of the things that happened. I don't know, we'll get to later after the labs, which things were which, if they were really the things in the first place. So I don't know. We'll never have an answer, maybe even, but we just know what happened. So anyways, okay, so back to the story. So I'm dizzy, I'm gonna pass out. I started, and now this is the part where like, if you're squeamish, don't listen, okay? I had pretty much recovered from the viral illness. So I did not have a cough anymore. I don't think I was asthmatic so much anymore. I didn't have the sore throat anymore. That had seemed to have gone away. So it was like a second event. I don't even want to say it was a second illness, because they kept staying at the hospital. I think you got like 2 illnesses. This was like some medical event. That's what it was. Okay. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I'm just a person that experienced this, but it felt like what I would think a medical event is. So, and it's not funny at all. Sorry. So I got really dizzy. My mouth was so dry. I was not dehydrated. I was pushing tons of fluids. I was eating, kind of normally at the time. And then what happened is I started having like horrific, and this is so embarrassing to say, but like, I'm just for everyone to know, and for, like the future storytelling, all of that, I want people to know, because I'm so done with people not sharing their experiences, and nobody knows anything. Everyone's like, oh, I don't know how I'm going through this. Like, I don't know what happened. I've never heard anyone go through this before. Now you guys know. So anyway, so I'm dizzy, dry mouth. I started having like horrific yellow diarrhea. Okay. Like shooting out multiple times a day, horrible stuff. I completely lost my appetite. It sounds like, like a virus, like a stomach virus, okay? It was not that. It was like, like toxic yellow, like green, yellow Slimer kind of situation, okay? Then what happened is I started twitching all over my body. Now, at the apex of this, when this happened, I was twitching so bad at night, like I was having like whole limb jerks. So it'd be like that, or like my leg would like kick up in the air. It was that bad. So I'm like, something is not right. Like these people keep telling me, oh, you just have a respiratory virus. Like something is not right. Something is going terribly wrong. So at this point I go to the ER because I'm like, this is not right. Like I need serious help. Like these urgent care people, I don't know. You know, you start to get angry. I shouldn't have gotten angry at these people because they were just doing their job and they were doing fantastic. But I went to the ER and they did a whole workup on me because they're like, you know, I was having chest pain too. That was the other thing too. I didn't have any of the virus symptoms, but I was having, you know, chest pain right here. And I just felt like really ill inside, really ill. That's all I can describe it. So I go to the ER, they do the whole workup on me the first time. So, you know, they checked my heart, they checked everything you could possibly check until the second time when we started asking for more tests. So, everything was not fine. So I did have low potassium. I want to tell, oh, sorry, I forgot to tell this about this before too. Before this in, you know, like May, June, like I was a completely healthy person. I have high blood pressure. I mean, I wasn't completely healthy, but I didn't get like really sick from anything ever. Like, you know, I had a cold and it was a cold and that was it. And it was quick and gone. And then I do have to note too, I had gestational diabetes with both of my kids. I do not have diabetes at all. I do take metformin, which is part of the story later, to prevent me from getting type 2 diabetes. So I do take that, but I don't have diabetes. And then I also have hypothyroidism, but it's all controlled. My blood pressure is controlled. My thyroid is controlled, all of those things. So I was, you know, a normal person, didn't get sick like that often. You know, the normal like 1 to 2 colds or, you know, flu maybe once every 5 to 10 years. Okay. So anyway, so I had all my blood work done. What they found out was I had low potassium. Okay, so they're like, oh, go home and eat bananas and spinach. And I'm like, I already do that. So, and then I also had lactic acidosis. Now, I don't know a ton about this, but the lactic acidosis, they kept saying, oh, this can be from people who take metformin. So fast forward, I would say like 4 months. I go to see my endocrinologist and I ask her, I said, do I really need to be on this metformin? I don't have type 2 diabetes. I know it is doing this, but they said the reason I got lactic acidosis. Now, lactic acidosis can be caused if you are septic. It can be caused from over exercising, all of those things, but basically like, you know, like acid starts building up in your body. I think that's what it is. So, so I think that's why I was like so severely ill. I don't know. They don't know. So I asked my endocrinologist later, because I was forwarded to her again to read out a bunch of things like, you know, like, do I have Cushing's? Did I have like a cortisol problem? All the things, everything was normal. So, she did say, because this ER doctor was like, you know, this lactic acidosis was caused from your metformin. So I said, well, you know, like, let's lower my dose of metformin. I don't even need to be on this. So they did do that. Okay. And then the endocrinologist was like, no, like that does not happen from metformin. Like you were probably septic. Okay. I don't know. They said they tested my bone marrow, like the blood bone marrow. I was not septic. Okay. There was no evidence of sepsis. I don't know what happened. So I come back. They gave me, you know, an IV, fluids, all of that stuff. When I left, I still had a high lactic acid level from the ER, but they said over time, just keep hydrating and it'll get better. I was hydrated already. Okay. But I did feel mildly better. And I think, I don't know, eventually they gave me potassium supplements, but so I go back again the next day because I'm just getting worse and worse and worse. Still lactic acid high. Still low potassium. I don't even remember what happened then. And then I went a third time because I still wasn't getting better. They gave me another IV. And this time, I had a family member come with me too, who used to work in the medical field. I don't want to like talk about anyone on the show besides myself. And they were like, what is going on here? We went to a different hospital. And so then they started to do things like test me for strep, mono, and Lyme's disease. That's where I want to talk about that. So I don't even know if this was right still, but so I did the Lyme's disease, the ELISA test, the initial test, and it did say equivocal. So then it took a couple weeks and the Western blot came back, and I did at that time have 2 bands, but I was still negative. So I did not have Lyme's disease according to that test. They did another test that was a whole panel for other tick-borne illnesses, all negative, okay? So I did not have Lyme's disease according to this. Now this was, I would say, 3 weeks after I found the red circle on me, okay? So I don't know, we were just, thinking of all the different scenarios, and could it have been too soon to test? I don't know. So at this point, I think I'm like 3 weeks in, I'm still like, shooting out yellow diarrhea. And then I started having like, I was like urinating, like tons of urine frequently. I'm like, is this diabetes? Like, what is going on, So, I went again. I kept going back to the doctor. I was like, this is getting embarrassing. Like, what is going on? So I finally saw my nurse practitioner that I see all the time, and she's like, I think you have C. diff from the antibiotic you were on before, okay? So she put me on vancomycin, which is like a really, really strong antibiotic for C. diff. So then they test me, they do the whole stool sample, everything. That was fun and interesting, and I was negative for every possible stool thing. So in the meantime, they don't take me off vancomycin, okay? They just say, keep taking it. In the meantime, I go back to the ER because I'm just getting worse and worse and worse. Like, I was like literally, I don't even remember a lot of it because I was just so ill. Like my husband doesn't even believe me still about this. Like, he thinks, I'm being dramatic. I wasn't being dramatic, but I really felt like I was like close to dying. I was like, I'm close. I'm really close here. So, if I don't get help. So, and I wasn't anxious. It was none of that. I was so sick, and I was twitching everywhere. It was absolutely horrible. So anyways, we'll get through all this. I'm sorry this is taking so long, but you got to tell the whole story. So, so I go back again, and they're like, basically like, I think you've had 2 viruses now. We can't tell you what the 2 viruses are. But you had 2 viruses, okay? So you're just gonna have to like duke through this. It can take like 3 weeks to get over. But I was like, at a month at this point, and it just kept going on, and I was like so ill, I couldn't like, you couldn't like walk far. Like, I'd go for a walk, I'd like push myself because I love walking. I'd walk and I'd get so dizzy. I would sit down to go to the bathroom. I was dizzy. It was horrible and scary. So then, I don't know, I got switched between 2 or 3 different antibiotics. Finally, I saw another doctor who was just like a general practitioner, and he's like, I don't know, like, nobody knows what's wrong with you, like, and he said, he told me this story about his like old neighbor who was a dentist, and he said that, he was going through the same thing, and they couldn't find out what was wrong with him, and they gave him like a round of antibiotics that was for Lyme's disease, and they realized he had Lyme's. So, he put me on Augmentin, okay? Because he thought maybe I had a urinary tract infection and maybe I had Lyme's. So he said those 2 would cover that. I never heard of Augmentin being used for Lyme's, but supposedly that was it. So I started to mildly improve after the Augmentin. The frequent urination stopped, and my twitching eased up a little. I stopped having diarrhea. So then at that point, they sent me to GI. And so they diagnosed me there with like post-viral irritable bowel syndrome. And I'm like, okay, come on, like, this is like, like, hey, like, we don't know what's wrong with you, so we're gonna say you have IBS, okay? But I come to find out later, like, IBS is actually like a real medical problem. So I got medication for that, for the pain and stuff. Yeah, and so there is a mobility issue with your like your intestines, okay? I did not know that. I thought it was like a blow off for like, oh, we don't know what else is wrong with your GI tract. So anyway, so I got diagnosed with that there, and then they wanted to do because at this point too, still I had lost like, I think about 20 pounds in like a month. So I had no, you all know I love to eat, okay? I could not eat. I was so nauseated. I was taking Zofran every day, And yeah, I just couldn't eat. I completely lost my appetite. It was horrible. I do not wish that on anyone. I'm so sorry if you're going through that. I feel your pain. It's horrible. So and I do want to like say too, like, I'm not doing this like because I went through something so horrible and feel bad for me. And you know, I know there's so many other people going through really, really horrible illnesses and sickness. I am really just sharing this because I couldn't find any information on this. And you know, you want answers. It's almost like the grieving process of going through it. And so you want answers. I know I'm never going to have an answer, but I just want to share my experience with other people so you might know, as I said before. So anyway, so I get on the Augmentin, and then, you know, I was at the point where I think this was, so the 4th of July passed, all that time passed. I got on the Augmentin. We went up to like Rhinelander for a day trip. I'm like, okay, maybe I just need to like get out of my house and go somewhere, you know? So I started to feel a little better where I could eat like McDonald's, okay? I don't know what it is about being sick in McDonald's, but you all know. So I ate some McDonald's and I could like drink like, you know, like some Sprite or Gatorade and stuff. I was drinking fine, it's just I couldn't eat. So then time passed, just wasn't getting better still, but better, like, and I'm still twitching all over my body. And that's what really started to bother me is, so then I would have this horrific, I would wake up every morning with this horrible dry mouth, so bad, like my tongue was glued to the roof of my mouth. My throat was so dry, it was closed, like, and I started, this is the disgusting part, but I just want to share this with everyone. If anybody still has this, I am seeing ENT for this. They cannot figure out what it is, what's going on. I'm on like a high dose of like an oral swish, kind of like prednisone, like steroid for it right now. It's not really helping it, so I'm gonna go back again. But I wake up every morning and I have like this crust all over my lips. It's disgusting. So this all happened from these viruses that I had. So I'm waking up every morning. My mouth is so dry, I can't open it. My eyes are dry. My lips are crusted shut. What else was happening? I have to tell you about all the symptoms because they're all weird, and they all like, you know, I kept going back and they're like, these don't match up, like these sound like different things. And I'm like, I know they sound weird. They are weird. They don't all go together. So anyway, so I started improving after this Augmentin, okay? Then we're like, okay, let's get out of here. Let's go do something, like let's go on a vacation. Maybe sometimes when you go on vacation, you feel better. So I go to Florida. I did not put that on YouTube. I really wanted to because I really wanted to start vlogging Disney, and I will in April, okay? But I just needed this trip for healing. Now, probably not a good idea to go to Florida when you're getting over some virus in theme parks when it's 100 degrees out. So I then got heat stroke. Okay, so we got back from the parks. I was just having the time of my life. I didn't even care if I was sick. And I pushed it too long one day. You know, and I'm not someone that gets like this. I walk around Six Flags. I walk around Disney all day long. I'm fine. In the heat, I'm fine. But it was something about this illness that started making me become intolerant to heat. So I would go outside too with my kids to like sit there and read a book because that's all I could do at the time, like sit. And you know, usually I'm playing with them or biking or skateboarding, doing all kinds of fun stuff. I could not sit out there for too long because I would get so affected by the heat, okay? So I just need you guys to know all these symptoms so you can see what happens, and then we'll get to the BFS. Oh, sorry, I think this was before that. So I went to GI, and then I had the EGD scope of your throat, and I also had a colonoscopy. Everything was normal, nothing related to that. So they said, you know, like I said before, that I had, you know, IBS or virus-induced IBS. Same time I went to urology. They, you know, because I started peeing out like blood and things like that. It was really, really bad, you guys. It was really bad. So they have to automatically check you for bladder cancer, things like that. So I had that done. Everything was fine. No explanation for it again. All this time I'm having CBCs done, CMPs done, you know, everything done. So I go to Florida, I get heat stroke. The reason I knew I had heat stroke is I like literally stopped sweating. I was nauseated, and when I got back, I started slurring my words, so I couldn't talk. So that was pretty scary. And then I hydrated and I was drinking like this electrolyte stuff. I was lucky noon. I tried that. And then my dad gave me this other electrolyte stuff. I'll show you later. I take for my potassium and stuff too. Hold on. So anyways, so Florida, I get heat stroke. I'm still twitching, still feeling weird. The mouth dryness, horrible. So I don't know at what point. So I go back and then, you know, from Florida, and I'm like, you know, my tongue was all white. I didn't know what was going on. I was like, I kept telling them this whole time I was going, you know, I went to urgent care, my nurse practitioner, the ER, like, it had to have been like 9 times, you guys. It was embarrassing. I was embarrassed to go back, but I was like, this is not right. So I go back there, I'm like, look, like my tongue's all white, you know? So she's like, I think you have oral thrush, okay? So I have no clue why all this is happening. She's like, I think your body's like in a like kerflunk. That was what she told me. You're in a kerflunk. I don't know. What's a kerflunk? Okay. So she gave me an oral swish medicine while I was in Florida. So I was taking this oral swish medicine. It was like for 14 days or something. So it started to get better. The dry mouth started to get better from this oral swish, but I was still... Sorry, we had a snow friend come inside. So anyways, okay, so I come back from Florida. Let's get to the point here. I'm going on and on. And like I'm still twitching. I'm twitching back still, okay? All over my body, all day long, all night. The jerking stopped, like where my whole limbs were jerking had stopped, but so I go back to the doctor again and they're like, you know, I think you're anxious. I think you're making this up. Like they didn't say it like that, but they're like, you need to go to psychiatry. So anyways, I was getting like really frustrated at this point. I was like, something's like seriously wrong with me. Nobody can figure it out. What the heck is going on here? So I went to psychiatry because I was like, you know, maybe I am getting anxious. I knew what was happening was not in my head. But I was like, you know, maybe because I've been sick so long, I am getting anxious because I'm like, nobody can figure out what's wrong with me. So I went to psychiatry and I like, I did get put on some, you know, this is like really personal, but I'm just going to share it with you because we're all human and it's good to share this stuff. But I got put on some anxiety medications, like 3 different medications. I'm not going to share that with you. One of them I will, because it has to do with the BFS. It's part of the 2 reasons I'm not sure why it's slowed down now, but to help everyone. But so I asked the psychiatrist, I was like, hey, like, you know, they keep telling me I'm twitching because of stress and anxiety. Is that a thing? And she's like, no, absolutely not. Like, you do not twitch from stress or anxiety. But then, you know, you like start Googling stuff and it's like, oh yeah, like one of the reasons for BFS is like stress and anxiety. So I don't know what the true story is, but she did say, she goes, I don't know why your doctors cannot figure out what's going on with you. I apologize for my dog barking. He's like barking at my kids outside sledding in the snow. So I got started on a bunch of different mental health medications, okay? I went there because I was like, you know what, I am getting really anxious and depressed from this situation because I was sick so long. It was June, July, August, okay? No clue what's going on still. They're like, we don't know what's wrong with you. One person even goes, you know, I think you're going through perimenopause. And I'm like, this is crazy. Like, I am 39 years old. I mean, it can happen. Like, I'm not discrediting that. But I was like, nothing in my body is calling this perimenopause right now. So I was like, something happened to me. I got really sick and someone needs to figure this out. I was like, I'm like, can I go to infectious disease? Like maybe I have like West Nile virus. Like I didn't know, you know, you don't know what is going on. So they wouldn't send me there either. So I had gone to a bunch of specialists, went to the psychiatrist. Now that I started therapy, I highly recommend that. This is all part of that, like doing this video now and stuff. Like I wasn't really gonna share anything about my personal life, but I want to share with you guys now because I really believe in you know, the oral tradition of passing information down to people. So anyways, so where was I at? So it was kind of like this vicious cycle. I was starting to feel better, like, and the dry mouth would come and go. I still, to this day, have like this lip cross problem, which I'm working with ENT, and the twitching. So those are the two things I still have going on, and some like pretty bad asthma too, but that might be like related to other things. So I don't know if that is actually a thing. But yeah, so I went to psychiatry, so I was like compliant, so that like they would be like, you know, still help me figure out what was going on. But it did help me in the meantime too, to deal with like what I was going through, because I was like, nobody knows what's going on. And then you start to think, you're like, oh, is this like some, you know, like disease that's at the beginning stages? Like, I don't know what it is, but I kept going back to, no, this started from some virus, okay? So, think what happened next then. So I asked to see the doctor again, and she checked my electrolytes, everything. There were a couple other things, I can't remember what they were, to like weed out to make sure that it wasn't those things first, like the electrolytes. I can't remember. Simultaneously, I was seeing the ENT doctor, and she was willing to do like other, like, you know, like your regular CBC and CMP, you do like all your electrolytes, like sodium, potassium. My potassium, I forgot to tell you about this too, the doctors, because my potassium was low, so the lactic acidosis recovered, okay? So that was really good. And then the potassium kept going up and down, and it was getting really low, where they were like, okay, this is possible, like, you know, you could start having like a heart problem from it, kind of. So I got put on giant potassium pills. Now, that brought it back into the normal range for a really long time, until this current day. So simultaneously, I was having that done with my regular nurse practitioner, and that had gone back to normal, so they could weed out that the twitching was from any type of electrolyte thing. At the same time, I was seeing ENT, and she was thinking maybe my my whole dry mouth, dry eyes situation, you know, was maybe from a B12 deficiency. I forgot the other things. They never checked my like iron and ferritin, and I'll come back to that to this day. And then also she did like an ANA too, because she's like, maybe you have like Sjogren's, you know, with the dry mouth. I don't know still, okay? My ANA was normal, so that weeds out like a lot of autoimmune things, but she did say, because I have hypothyroidism, after a virus, you can get other autoimmune diseases. They come in like pairs, I guess, you know? So they're still kind of like watching that to see, you know, because it's like still kind of early, like it could be developing, I don't know. So my electrolytes are normal, and I went to a different nurse practitioner this time because mine was not available. You know, like sometimes you can't get into them for a really long time. So I went to see another lady, and she talked to my nurse practitioner and told her like the whole story. So she's like, your electrolytes are normal, you know, whatever else they needed to like weed out for twitching, they weeded out. And she was dead serious with me, and she goes, have you heard of ALS in the news? And I was like, well, yeah, like what was his name from, you know, from, it wasn't McDreamy, but the other guy from, oh my gosh, I'm losing it. The medical show, what is, okay, you know, so he got ALS, okay? So that was just in the news, so she was like telling me about that, and she's like, we need to test you for ALS, because that's what starts with twitching. Twitching is the first symptom of ALS usually, okay? So I automatically start crying, and I'm like, how, like, this makes no sense. Like, I knew about ALS. I had, like, I know 2 other people, I didn't know them well, that had ALS. They were, like, in their, like, 50s and 60s when they got it. A family member I have worked in neurology for years, and they're like, I saw, like, 1 patient in the whole amount of time. You know, it's super, super rare. So I'm like crying in the office. I'm like, what is going on? I'm a 39-year-old female. Like, I do not have ALS. This is not happening. So she's like, we need to weed this out because it starts with twitching. So you need to go have an EMG and a NCS, like a nerve conduction study done at neurology. So in the meantime, you know, you have to wait like, I think I had to wait 2 weeks or something. It wasn't that long in the like grand scheme of things. I know other people have waited a lot longer. So, you know, you go into this really deep dark place. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, this is not real. I have a friend that's a physician too, and he was like, this is crazy. Like, you do not have ALS. But you still go there. I know, like everybody, because you're like, you go Google it, and the first thing that comes up when you're saying you're twitching all over your body 24/7 for months now is that you have ALS. So fast forward 2 weeks, I go have my EMG and my nerve conduction study, okay? So I was a little scared about that because a couple people told me it was really painful. I did have it done, and it was not painful. It was just awkward. That's the only way I can describe it is, what they do is they stick needles in your muscles and then zap your muscles, okay? So it just kind of felt like you're like, boom, but it wasn't like, you got taser or something, but it was awkward, but it was fine. So, I found out that I have carpal tunnel syndrome, but I do not, according to that, have any motor neuron disease or ALS. So the whole weird thing about the whole situation is this neurologist was like, I was like, so I got sent here because they think I have ALS, and she like side-eyed me. Neurologists are really interesting people. They're really intelligent, but they have no bedside manner. So she was amazing, and she's like, you do not have ALS. What are they talking about? So I don't know. I'm glad I had this test done, but also at the same time, I'm like, at what point too are we like misusing like medical costs and things and people's time? So I'm glad I found out I have carpal tunnel syndrome, so that's fine. But it's totally fine, and it's like doesn't even bother me. So my doctor said that you can weed out ALS as the reason for your twitching. So I felt really good about that, but at the same time too, you like kind of like start reading stuff, like all the Reddit stuff, and I went down the hole, and it's like, oh, like there's a ton of people that's like, I had five EMGs before I got diagnosed, like from twitching to ALS. Okay, so that was really difficult. Because, it sent me this anxiety spiral I didn't need to be in, I've never been in before, and it's hard. So I understand, I feel for all of you guys, and, I really pray every day for all the people that have the horrible disease ALS. I really pray for you guys. If there's anything I can do to help, talk to anyone that has it, I'm here for them. So, I didn't have that, and, I was just like, this is insane, So I begged my doctor, I said, please, one more time, can you test me for Lyme's disease? Now, this is where it gets interesting. Okay, so simultaneously, I'm asking, I'm like, please, can you test me for Lyme's disease again? And they're like, oh, well, did you come in contact with a tick? And I'm like, I don't know, but I had this like red, thing on me, and I'm, my kids go to the school in the woods, we're outside in the woods like all the time, like, can you test me again? So the ELISA test, the initial test, comes back positive this time, okay? So I'm like, oh my gosh, this is the answer. It's been, at this point, it had been 5 months. 5 months when I did the EMG, the NCS, and gotten tested the second time for Lyme. So the first time my Lyme test was equivocal with 2 bands, so I was technically negative by CDC standards. And then the second time it was positive. So then I'm like dying. I'm like, oh, I know, this is what happened. I had Lyme's disease this whole time, So I get it back. I get the Western blot back, which is like the more accurate version of the Lyme's disease test. I have 3 bands now. You need 5 bands to have had the IgG is the past infection, okay? So what it does show, I'm not a doctor, but they will not diagnose you if you do not have 5 bands. What it does make me think though, I don't know, you guys tell me, I might be going crazy or just like searching for an answer too, but it shows me that antibodies increased over time because I went from equivocal to positive in 2 to 3 bands. So I don't know if I had Lyme still too, okay? I don't know what I had. Nobody knows. It was some virus, some crazy thing, something, and it was making me twitch forever, so I was still twitching. So fast forward, still twitching this whole time. I got put on the one medicine I'm gonna tell you about, psychiatry medicine I got put on was clonazepam. Okay, so I take a really low dose of clonazepam 2 times a day. Now after this, I did notice that my twitching did start to decrease a little tiny bit. It wasn't as often, but it was still strong. So I think, you know, like my nervous system was just like in hyperdrive, okay? But it was still happening, it was still twitching everywhere, okay? Fast forward to November. All these months I was getting illnesses every single month, every month. So I was like, something is not right with my immune system. So I started taking like high doses of vitamin C, all my vitamins. I was taking, you know, like a probiotic like I was supposed to, all of these things. Still getting sick every single month. I'm like, something is wrong. Nobody could find out what was wrong with me still. They were still doing tests all the time. I had like a CBC, CMP, all of those things done like every single month for 7 months. Anyway, so after that then, I got influenza, the influenza that's going around over Thanksgiving. So got really sick again from that. And I went to urgent care because I was having breathing problems again. Like I get really, really bad asthma when I get any viral illness. So I went there, they gave me prednisone, and then they gave me, so I kept asking my nurse practitioner before, I'm like, you know, could I have Lyme's disease? You know, and she's like, no, absolutely not. You don't have 5 bands. You know, it's not the CDC standard for diagnosis of Lyme's disease. So there's one drug. Now I'm having like a brain malfunction. I forgot what it's called, but it is the drug for Lyme's disease. Okay. I'm gonna like insert that in the like comments before. It doesn't matter what drug it is. So it is, you get this like antibiotic if you get Lyme's disease. Okay. So I kept asking her and she's like, we can't give it to you because you don't have Lyme's disease. Okay. You were positive, but it was a false positive. I really don't believe there's any false positives. I think if I would have went to a integrative medicine doctor, they probably would have given me that. I have talked to professionals in doctors, nurses, other people, and they said, you know, my doctor would have given you the antibiotic for if you had that many bands and you were positive. Okay, whatever, that's not what happened. So go to urgent care for my like respiratory problem from influenza A, okay? And, you know, because why not get influenza A after I just had that in summer, you know? And this lady, she gives me, I don't know, like, she gave me an antibiotic because she was like, I think you possibly could be, like, getting pneumonia, but you don't have pneumonia. So to prevent you from getting pneumonia from the influenza, because I'd already been put on prednisone and Tamiflu and, now this antibiotic, and it was the antibiotic for Lyme's disease, okay? So I take this dose and I'm like, and I got prednisone twice too. I got 2 doses of prednisone. So I was like, oh, you know, on everything you could possibly be on. So I don't know, after this, my twitching has pretty much stopped. It stopped for, I want to say, a month and a half. I have not twitched in a month and a half after I took this antibiotic that I can't remember the name of that's for Lyme's disease, okay? And I will find that and put that in the comment section. Or if I think about it before this. So anyway, so I take the 2 doses of prednisone. At first I was like, I don't know if it's the clonazepam I'm taking. I don't know if it's the prednisone that's calming me down. I don't know. I don't know which one it was. I don't know if it's the antibiotic for Lyme's disease. Did I really have Lyme's disease? Okay. So I got put on this antibiotic for, I think it was 8 days, and it stopped twitching. Now, it's been about a month and a half. It was completely gone. I did not twitch one day for a month and a half. Now, about a week ago, I started twitching again, but it's so light, you can hardly feel it. So I just noticed when I lay down to go to sleep, like once in a while, I'll feel it in my shoulder or somewhere else. So I don't know what caused this. Was it Lyme's? Was it COVID? Was it a combination of all these things? but the twitching is real and it did last for almost 7 months and it's still going on. So, anyways, this was a really long video. Thank you so much for like listening. Tell me about your experiences. There are a couple other things I wanted to like say in it, but this is getting too long and I really appreciate you guys watching at this point. But yeah, I am here for you guys. Let's talk about this. Let's go through this together. And then, yeah, please like and subscribe. And like I said, we'll be, I think tomorrow and the next day, we're going to be going to a Comic-Con and we are going to go to Dungeons and Dragons Museum. So follow me if you're interested in any of those things. And you guys are not alone. I'm here going through this with you. And I hope you guys all feel better and, you know, peace is with you and happiness is with you. Have a great day. Bye.